Welcome, everybody, to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. Today is Monday, August the 3rd, 2020. Adam Freeman coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia. Paul Brees is in Brentwood, Tennessee. And what's up, Big Paul?
Day one in the books, back to work. I know how you felt.
I told you. It's no joke, man.
It has been a – listen, but here's the deal. You know, we had the option of going in person to school for our teacher development, or we could have Zoomed it. Obviously, if I don't go to school, I'm not quite as motivated.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
So it is definitely, the process of getting up and going through the whole, as I like to say, the rigmarole of getting
jumping through the hoops.
So day one in the books. We'll see what day two holds. I think I'll probably hit the wall Wednesday.
I'm trying to think of it. Yeah, that was about my wall last week, Wednesday. Good thing. The positive thing about that is I had something to look for. Had a golf outing to look forward to on Thursday. Got another golf outing to look forward to this week. Going to be playing on Wednesday. So playing a little bit different, playing a different course this time. And it's a little bit more challenging of a course. So I'm going to have to be on my game if I'm going to break 90 on this course. It's going to be a challenge. It's definitely going to be a challenge. Cobblestone Golf Course in Ackworth is where we're playing. And I don't know if this bodes well or not, but they just aerated the green. So we're playing on what they call an aeration special. Normally it's $70 and it's $39, and you get a hot dog, chips, and a drink.
I love the combo meal.
The aeration specialist, but I'm not really comfortable with the whole golf course hot dogs. I had a bad experience at the turn at a different golf course, and so I'll be bringing my own snacks, despite the fact that they're having an aeration special. Just telling. I've learned from my mistakes. Do not trust the golf course hot dog.
Yeah,
There's
a reason that's a special.
There's a reason. I don't know how old these things are. You know, I have no clue. I have no clue who's regulating these hot dogs. I don't know. I'm not taking the chance. I'm not taking the chance that on hole 12 I have an emergency.
I got
throwing
an
up.
Update. Speaking of golf, Nashville Metro public golf courses like Harpeth Hills, Shelby, Ted Rhodes, McCabe, Two River. Anyway, Metro-owned parks golf courses. The word on the street is, as you know, Drive Through Sports has a lot of inside sources.
A lot.
And obviously we do not like to divulge the inside sources. But free golf, again, back on Metro golf courses after 5 p.m.
What?
After 5 p.m.
Are you kidding me? Dude,
now, this is a walking man special.
Dude, those courses are going to be loaded with coaches who aren't practicing. Speaking of, which we'll get to that a little bit. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show.
Here we go. Hot take.
Hot take number one, Brees, and you broke this earlier. The NFL bubble. Is the NFL, we actually sort of like toyed with this, but now, thanks to some of those sources that you spoke of, who will remain nameless, this is part of a plan. This is a plan that will go into effect once the season starts, correct?
Well, I think it is definitely a plan B.
Okay.
After seeing what Major League Baseball has gone through with the travel and everything like that. And now, you know, still with so many people opting out, I talked to a former NFL player, and he suspected that NFL teams may keep 70 on the roster.
Wow.
That was a number that he just threw out. But obviously he was saying, listen, with all these opt-outs, with all the things that could take place down the road, I would think the NFL would try to expand the roster a little bit. And, you know, those people that are like the Patriots, they have a lot of money to, you know, maybe they could sign a few more people. obviously not going to be X factors in the whole thing.
Yeah,
But
but they need bodies. So
bodies, correct.
so you're looking at expanding from 53 to 70.
Yeah.
That means basically
again, that number was not, that was just thrown out. That's not the number that he actually said anywhere between 70 and 80.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy, 80. But I guess the NFL is preparing for an outbreak. And so the option here is we broke it on Twitter at D Through Sports that the NFL bubble, quote unquote, teams will now be housed in 5 regional cities, and scheduling will take place that way.
Well, here's what's interesting. New Orleans has already kind of created its own bubble for training camp to keep, I think it's 150 players and staff in a series of hotels, and to sort of, keep them quarantined within their own bubble so that they don't have any issues during training camp. I don't know if other teams have opted to do that. I know the Falcons had their first team workout today. No coaches were allowed because they don't officially start with pads, I think, till the 17th of August, which is still a couple weeks away. But they did meet and just kind of, up in Flowery Branch, just kind of went through some plays and some drills. But I don't know if they have a true plan to, like, prior to, training camp or during training camp to do that sort of thing that New Orleans is implementing down there. So, OBJ came out in Wall Street Journal article saying that he didn't think that the season should be played, but then he retracted, said, I'm not going to opt out. What he said didn't make a whole lot of sense, because he said, I'm not going to opt out, but I don't think the season should be played. That's what he said, basically. So I'm like, what? So if they play, you're going to play, but you don't think the season should be played.
You know what? I meant to share this with you. I totally forgot again with the work situation. After 6 months trying to get back on the schedule, but
yes,
the Denver Broncos, I don't know if you saw this or not, as they exit onto the field, they are being sprayed down like a sprayer, like if you're at a theme park or something, you have that fan.
Yeah.
They're being sprayed as they kind of walk through, kind of like an airport security deal.
Yeah. So it's like a mister. It's like a mister.
Yes.
Okay.
They're being sprayed down.
Like disinfected?
Probably a disinfectant. Well, listen, nobody had any protective eyewear on, so it must be safe. But each of them Each of them were carrying a towel as they walked out. Some they did have their face coverings on, but if you do want to see this, how it's been played out, it is on the Denver Broncos Twitter page.
Well, here's something interesting that I saw just watching the news. As I was watching the news, they were showing the Falcons players going through drills and stuff, and the defensive linemen were going through drills with, like, the dummies, So they're doing swim moves and all that stuff. So one guy would go through and do a swim move, then an up and under, and then the next guy would do a swim move up and under. So it's like they were showing this they're not even cleaning the dummies, like, in between guys. So what's the point?
Yeah.
It's just, so like you said, like, there's a plan B in effect, and I think we know why there's a plan B in effect, because it's going to be just like baseball. They're going to get started, and, after the week after the first games, guys are going to start testing positive, and you're going to have a plan for that moving forward. So you might have the first week of games go off in their home cities, like how they're supposed to go. Right. But I think from that point forward, you're going to have to have a plan in place that can be deployed very rapidly, in order to keep things on a regular schedule. So getting and staying with the football vibe, we'll get to our next hot take. And I don't know if you have seen this or not, but this is radical.
Yes.
The Pac-12, 9 member schools in the Pac-12 are saying that they are not even going to play because of their concerns over health and social injustice and compensation. They're wanting 6-year scholarships. That's one of the things that they want. And I think this kind of all started with UCLA, you know, kind of, you know, citing that, hey, look, we're not comfortable with, you know, the medical staff at UCLA handling our screenings or doing, you know, we want somebody else in charge. It's a third party. And I think it just kind of grew from there. And then it started, you know, with all the, you know, the social injustice stuff and all that. And you start hearing about all these programs from Iowa to Oklahoma State to TCU. All of these programs, guys are coming out and being like, hey, it's like these guys are, you know, mistreating us. They're, you know, they're citing, you know, how it's an environment that's not conducive to the black athletes. You know, they're being, you know, talked down to, and this, that, and the other. And this is another one of the things that they're talking about that is just, you know, they're not going to tolerate it anymore. And this is kind of a big deal because, you know, the NCAA, they're the governing body, and you're seeing them like almost getting just pushed to the side. Be like, look, NCAA, we don't care about what you think anymore. And the coaches, their power grip on their teams is disappearing.
Yeah. Now, here's how it could play. You can play out in two ways, how I view it. Yes, the NCAA and the head coaches losing control, and, you know, they give in to the players, or they just say, you know what, you can continue to speak, but we're not giving in. And obviously, sometimes when you make a statement, sometimes you give into your best interest, and sometimes it doesn't play out that way. And I think there's a lot of support for kids that do not agree with this in the Pac-12, and I think maybe the majority could save the Pac-12 conference if the players that obviously can, you know, rally around. Whether it's right or wrong, that's not for me to decide, but that's just how I think it could play out.
Yeah, and another thing too is let's think about these universities now. We already saw Stanford cancel lots of athletic programs, 9 programs, due to COVID-19 concerns, and primarily, I would imagine it was due to financial concerns. Okay, if the Pac-12 opts out and says that we're not playing, or they don't get, you know, what they want out of this, and they stick to their guns and they don't play, they get 0 TV revenue, no revenue. So what happens to all these other sports? How are you going to pay for all these other sports if that happens? So
Right.
that's another sort of wrinkle that's out there. And speaking of paying for other sports, and sticking with football still, if you want to call it football, your background there has the XFL logo. And I think the relaunch of the XFL, I got to be honest with you. I mean, I watched it and it wasn't bad. I thought the play was pretty good. You had some guys that, you know, were pretty decent college players that were playing, and some guys that had, you know, been on NFL rosters that had gotten released. I think the talent was, you know, it was subpar, but I mean, it was just, you know, it was just under NFL talent. It was probably, you know, under CFL talent, but it was entertaining. And then it just kind of started to get a little bit of momentum, and then COVID hit. And they filed for bankruptcy like 2 weeks later. Well, you just dropped this story. I mean, I didn't even know about it.
The Rock, saving the day. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, new owner of the XFL. You know what? I think he reached out to Vince McMahon and said, hey, I know you don't want it. I don't really want it, but what's the cheapest you will take for it? They got it for $15 million. That's a steal.
Oh, yes, just the branding rights alone for that league, just the fact that it's been done. You've already done the legwork. You've got the franchises. If you want to start it back up, the ownership, it probably wouldn't be that difficult to do once a lot of these restrictions are gone. You're probably looking next spring, possibly at the earliest, and you got a lot of talent to pull from. You know, um, and the budgets for these teams, these guys aren't signing huge contracts. You could get some uh, you could get some corporate sponsors in there, which they had already really done. And I think nobody's better at marketing than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, than
Right.
selling an image.
You're
He did it.
exactly right.
I mean, he did it as a wrestler. He was a football player. Then he transitioned as a wrestler. Then he became, an actor, entertainer, entrepreneur. I mean, he's got the whole package. I mean,
Well, what
and
that I mean, you said it, Adam. He brings name recognition to the site. People that don't even know what XFL means see that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's involved with this. He's got 14 million people following him on Twitter.
yeah,
You just don't get that. That is just not handed to you. I mean, this guy's worked for it. And you know what The Rock's cooking? Money.
hey, he's cooking money. He's
Yeah,
making it.
he's
He's
making money.
making it hand over fist. And $15 million to him is nothing. That's nothing. That's not even a movie paycheck for him. That's like less than it's a tenth of his movie paycheck. He makes another installment of, Hobbs and Shaw. That was a terrible movie, and he makes it up. That was. I'm a huge Rock fan, but that was a terrible, terrible movie. And I regret renting it on Amazon Prime. That's how bad it was. But
Well,
it doesn't matter because it's The Rock, and if anything that's got The Rock attached to it is gonna flourish. I feel like. So
yeah.
he's got the the financial backing. Obviously, he's part of a group. So again, it was not just him. He was the main sort of celebrity in this ownership group that has purchased it. So they got some muscle behind that. They're going to get it moving. And like I said, I would imagine once this whole COVID thing kind of goes away or gets handled or gets taken care of, I think you'll see a push to relaunch the XFL in the spring, and I think it'll do well. Again, I could be totally wrong, but everything he touches turns to gold. He's the golden goose.
Hey, the guy's net values are like 320 million. And he's doing
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, he's
But
all right.
now he's just got a game plan, get himself surrounded with the right people. I would have loved to seen Dwayne Johnson reach out and say, "Hey, Kevin Hart, you want to help me with this?" That would have been incredible to see Kevin Hart involved in the XFL as a quote unquote commissioner or something.
Oh, that would have been great. Hey, let's not count it out. He may be
That's
reaching
right.
out to him as we speak. You never know.
Because I don't know if you remember this, but Kevin Hart, he played a vital role in the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl win. I don't know if you remember. He was on the field for the trophy celebration. Probably had a little too much to, the celebration beverages, but that was quite a scene when he was down there, bumping into people, trying to get it. He tried to touch the trophy,
Oh yeah,
and they
yeah.
basically almost took him down.
Yeah, the smallest guy on the field by far was Kevin Hart. But yeah, I mean, that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting to see. So that's something that's on the horizon that we can see kind of what happens. Well, that gets us to we're going to switch gears to baseball, and I know you're not a big baseball guy, but
Well, I like this story because it
this is
involves
involves your
some
Mets.
kind of conspiracy theory. What is going on?
Listen, Yoenis Cespedes, he was out all of 2019 with an injury. It was highly anticipated, his comeback. Hey, he's going to play. He's going to be a big cog in that lineup, batting with, behind or batting in front of Pete Alonso, rookie of the year last year. The Mets got pitching. They've got these two guys that can hit it out of the park. Brandon Conforto, who plays, good outfield and can hit. Brandon Nimmo, all these guys, these young guys, and you got DeGrom, Matz, your boy Steven Matz,
Yeah.
on the mound. And so everything was kind of trending that the Mets were going to be possibly contenders in the NL East. So he comes back, opening day, he hits an absolute bomb, beats the Braves. So they're actually in town. They're in right down the road here playing the Braves tonight. Yesterday, he doesn't show up for the game. Nobody knows where he is. They go to his hotel room. He's gone. They issue a missing persons report and file a police report, only later to find out, oh, he's opting out for health reasons. What do you make of this? Is he just crazy, or is it just – I mean, or is that just what you get with Yoenis Cespedes?
I think it's the latter for sure. I mean, to just up and go and listen, you want to opt out, fantastic, but let somebody know, right?
Yeah, well, here's another thing too. The guy's in his final year of his deal. And he's going to opt out. I mean, this is like his last chance to show what he can do to make some real money. I don't understand his thinking behind it. Unless, I mean, again, if you're honestly concerned, then, you know, by all means, you know, for your health, then by all means do it. But it just seemed, it was so many things about this were just so odd. It's just not like that. Like, here's the crazy thing. Like, he doesn't show up. You can't find him. And the first thought was that, hey, somebody murdered him. Like, he's dead somewhere.
That's right.
That was what everybody went to. It's like, oh my gosh, we got where's it? We got to go search for his body. You know, it was just all very strange how it all played out. It was nuts. But again, they're in town tonight. Big matchup. Jacob DeGrom against Mike Soroka. Braves going for their 6th straight win. They've been playing pretty well. DeGrom, though, is looking like the DeGrom of old, topping. You know, he's hitting triple digits with fastball, just playing really well, pitching really well. Just needs to get some run support. All right. Next topic here. High school football. We've talked about this multiple times on multiple occasions on different shows. And the reason why is because we get there's new news like all the time. All right. You came up yesterday with the Bill Lee story, correct?
Yeah, that was, I think, Thursday.
2 days ago, it was Thursday of last week. So y'all were supposed to start in pads today, correct?
Yeah, helmets, right? It's 2 day helmets, 3 day shoulder pads.
Well, we were actually starting today in full pads.
Okay.
So I think y'all were maybe a week behind us.
Yeah,
maybe.
we may be.
Yeah. But the reason why our hot take is high school football in jeopardy, we've already seen Virginia postpone it till March 1st. First workouts beginning on Valentine's Day, and not before that. And what recently happened, we got an email yesterday. Okay. Yesterday. Now, my daughter reported to school face-to-face today in Paulding County to North Paulding High School. That's where she goes to school, and she's a junior. We got an email from the principal with a PDF document attached. And oh, by the way, as I'm sitting here watching the national news, Georgia's Gwinnett County, the story I told you about earlier about the teachers testing positive, that's made national news now.
And they were just in teacher professional development.
Yeah,
right?
they were just in professional learning. So Gwinnett County, you'd have nearly 3. Now, see, they say nearly 300. It was 260.
Yeah.
And that's either tested positive or exposed. So when you see that number, it doesn't mean 260 tested positive. You could have 50 positive tests, but they may have come in contact with 5 people each. So let's not spin this, in that way. But that's going to affect what happens. So my daughter goes back today. We got the letter yesterday, had a PDF document enclosed, said, hey, we've had several football players test positive for COVID-19. In response to that, we are canceling football practice. Now, I have a good friend of mine that's on the staff at North Paulding High School. I immediately texted him. I said, "What's the deal? Are y'all done?" He said, "We're erring on the side of caution. We're done for this week to be safe." Now, we practiced this morning because obviously trying to practice in Georgia in the afternoon at 4:00 in August,
Yeah.
it's, on especially the first day of full pads, which is always a bad day it's been in my experience as being an athletic trainer, being out there. That first week is always when you have the highest number of heat-related illnesses, no matter what you do.
Sure.
So, I mean, I would say probably in my 20-plus years of doing it, 90% of my heat-related illnesses occur in that first week of full pads. So, again, they're going to be a week behind. They're going to have to reacclimatize, and they're going to be kind of another week behind, hitting each other. So it's really 2 weeks behind. So it's going to be interesting to see how this trickles down to other systems that are close by. Cobb County borders Paulding County. And so we were going all virtual. They decided to go face-to-face.
Right.
And because of that, there's actually a choice, and they said about 70% showed up for face-to-face learning, another 30% were doing it the online option. In fact, I have a young man that lives across the street who's a senior at North Paulding. His family has chosen the online option, and I was talking to his mom, and she said he was not happy about it, but that was the decision that they made. And he's an athlete. So
Now, let me stop you right there, Adam.
Yep.
If they choose the online option in Georgia, can they still participate in athletics?
Yes, it is a county by county basis, and but most every county has said yes, that they can.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I mean it's the same. It's almost, to me, it's the same deal as if you homeschool your kid, they can. It's sort of the Tim Tebow thing. You're homeschooled, but you can still play for the local high school if you don't have a team, whatever, which is basically what he did. So this is kind of, again, it's a daily thing. What do we learn? What do we know moving forward? As of right now, our coaches and athletic trainers that are working practices are still doing temperature checks and all those different things. So hopefully everything will go off. We're supposed to have our first scrimmage August 21st. So that's 2 weeks from Friday. Then we have another one on the 28th, and our first game is supposed to be September 4th. So you're looking at, we're a month away from our first official game. So you got to get those practices in. Anyway, but
in my opinion, it's going to be a very difficult. And you talk about day to day all the time. I mean, listen, you got people like Doug Peterson, the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, tested positive twice for COVID. So, I mean, it's going to be a challenge, and I think it's going to be who waves the white flag first. It's going to be the big thing, and
yeah, and again, we've mentioned this before as well. Our governing body, yours is the TSSAA, ours is the GHSA. They are not going to be the ones to say we're postponing football till the spring, or we're not playing football in the fall, or we're not playing it at all. They are not going to be the ones to do that. They did their little job by saying, hey, we're pushing it back 2 weeks in hopes that it clears up. It's not going to – 2 weeks is not going to – that did nothing. They didn't short the season. They didn't do it. They playoffs are 5 rounds like normal. The season's 10 games like normal. They just pushed it back 2 weeks. That didn't do anything. And I don't think it will do anything. But they're not going to be the ones to stick their neck out. They're going to force the local superintendents to make a call. And it's going to make them very unpopular with parents. Because I told you, when they canceled practice at my daughter's school, we're on this like North Paulding Families Facebook page, and parents were going nuts. Now, when I told you that, you said no, going nuts because kids were getting sick. I said, no, going nuts because they were canceling practice because kids got sick. It's like they didn't care that kids were sick. They were like, well, why can't the rest of the kids practice? I'm like, they don't, I mean, it's just idiocy. I just don't understand it. It's crazy. So again, it's, to me, like you said, it's a daily thing. And to me, it's still in jeopardy. I'm going to stay positive and hope that they play. I want them to play. I think everybody wants them to play. But is it going to be the prudent thing to do? And the powers that be are going to have to make the decision, not me, not you, not the GHSA, not the TSSAA, not the coaches, not the parents. So there you go. That's the story on Drive Through Sports for high school football. That's all.
Here we go.
All right. Now, last hot topic, and one we all love, and our viewers and listeners love this topic as well. We get lots of input on that. And that's our human interest story of the day. And, you know, I have an iPhone. You kind of have an iPhone. I mean, it's an iPhone 6, barely an iPhone. So we all use apps all the time. You know, we just launched our very own Hoy Nation Sports Broadcasting app on the Apple Store, the App Store, Hoy Nation Sports. Check that out. Download it. Log into it. You'll be able to listen to hopefully all of our football games and all of our broadcasts that we do. But I got to thinking, what are some of the most useful apps you've ever used and you've ever downloaded? Well, I'm going to just throw that out there.
Obviously, my iPhone 6, which I say that and you always laugh.
What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to tell you that, hey, that's okay, when there's perfectly good options and they're not that expensive?
All right. Let me give you a quick background on this. My wife and I share the same Apple iCloud ID.
Apple ID, okay. Yes.
Obviously, ID. I don't think that's the right move, but that's the way it was set up years ago.
Yes, our whole family is on the same Apple ID.
Okay. So we share data.
And you share music. So you got all your kids' music on your phone, correct?
No. Not all my kids. Just me and my wife.
Okay.
But my wife has taken, and it's on our the picture photos, the Photos app, or whatever that downloads all the photos that you take.
Yeah.
20,000 photos. So when it says that I do not have any storage for apps, that's literally the case. I have no storage for extra apps.
All right.
So my most useful apps that I try to make enough room for, that I just basically Waze, Life 360, and the only game that I have on my phone is called Bricks and Balls.
It's like Pong. It's like Breakout.
Yes.
It's like Breakout. Okay.
Yeah. Those are the, what I would quote unquote say, the three apps. And I have to, what is it when you don't delete the app, but you disable the app?
Yes, you can get it off of your, but it's still, you can just download it and it's there.
Correct.
Like if
I have a million of those apps that are disabled. But so the Waze and the Life 360, very needed. And then the Bricks and Balls game is the game that I just play around on. And maybe one day I'll figure out, and maybe somebody on Drive Through Sports would help us out. How can my wife is too scared to make any moves with those 20,000 pictures.
Listen to me very carefully.
Now, you don't have to convince me, but I
know. Listen, Google Photos.
Gotcha.
Okay, Google Photos, what it does is it basically backs up all of your photos on your camera. Okay? And that way they don't have to basically take up all of your space on your phone. And again, very, very helpful. So I'm trying to you know, that's one of the ones that I think is probably, um, you know, one of the ones that is the most, I guess, useful for me is Google
Yeah.
Photos. So Google Photos is a great one. Now, for me, I mean, I like to play around on the guitar, so I have a great app. Now, this one I have to pay for, but it's called Guitar Tabs. And you can go on Guitar Tabs, and you can type in any song by any artist that you want to learn how to play, and boom, it comes up, gives you the chords, the notes, all that sort of stuff. So I love my Guitar Tabs one. Waze is a huge one for me. I am a Waze freak. I don't go anywhere that I've never been before without putting it in Waze. And what I like about Waze is the fact that it gives you traffic, it gives you hazards, wrecks, police, everything. I love it. So I'm a huge Waze fan. Also, I've noticed there is an app called White Noise. Are you familiar with this app?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, the app White Noise. Whenever I travel, because I have to sleep like with a fan,
Yeah.
not for the breeze, but just for the noise. And the White Noise app allows me to pick anything I want. Um, you know, when it comes to, I like the pink version of the White Noise, which is just kind of like a static um, situation, and it just kind of just lulls me to sleep. So that's one of my favorite ones as well. Um, and one of the also a free one that you will love is called Tiny Scanner. Tiny Scanner allows you to take pictures of documents and email them from your phone, um, which is very helpful. Um, and then I would be remiss if I did not mention my favorite app of late, and that is 18 Birdies. 18 Birdies, over 10,000 courses you have access to. It's a free app. You can upgrade it if you want to get a few more features. But to be honest, for my game, all I need is the free version. It's GPS, so it's not like like if you were using a like a finder, um, you know, like a range finder. Um, it's GPS, so it's right to your phone and to the hole. Um, so it may be a little bit different from the yardage that you're getting from a rangefinder, but it's not going to be that much different. So here's the choices: free app that gets you pretty close, or $200 rangefinder. Okay, I'll take the free app and live with the 5 to 10 yards difference that I get on the golf course. The only issue you may have is if you get to a course that has poor reception or poor coverage, then you might not be able to get the best reading or get a reading. But those are some that are great apps that I consider them from my point of view to be the most useful apps. Google Photos for you has got to be a get. Google Photos, White Noise, Guitar Tabs, Tiny Scanner, and 18 Birdies. Those are my go-tos. I don't really use a whole lot of the other ones, but like you said, we have one Apple ID for the family. So I'm sitting here on my phone. I'm looking at Taboo, Jiffy, Sling, Riddle Master. You know, all these other things that I know I didn't put on my phone, but somebody in my Apple ID, one of my kids, probably downloaded the app, and now it's showing up as something that I need to install. So, the travails of having one Apple ID
Yeah.
per family, which is rough. Now, because we have one Apple ID for our whole family, like my music, like I can't, if I hit just like shuffle on my my iTunes, I don't know what I'm gonna get. You know, I might get like Kesha or like, you know, Kelly Clarkson or you know, somebody like that my kids listen to. So I have to make my own playlist and just go from
Yeah.
there. But yeah, those are some go-to apps that are
Listen,
extremely useful.
if you're a part of those apps, that's free advertising for you guys on Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. You're welcome. This will be the last time that we're going to give you free advertising.
Yeah, that's the last time we have any sort of name recognition other than Drive Through Sports on our broadcast. We want to encourage everybody to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. Also, check us out and follow us on Twitter at D3Sports, and listen to all these episodes on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. For Paul Brees in Brentwood, Tennessee, I'm Adam Freeman in Atlanta, Georgia. You've been listening to Drive Through Sports, Adam and Paul.